All right, Jack Zarinzik gets top billing because he's back from vacation tonight as the Pirates are getting ready to take on St. Louis. A couple of teams were wondering what they do to turn things around. Not so much the question about the Pirates, but what happened to the St. Louis Cardinals? They're 5 out.
Well, starting pitching's been an issue for them. Adam Wainwright, Michael Wacha, none of them have been what we're used to seeing as Pirate fans anyway. There's talk about Wacha being moved to the bullpen. There's even been some people talking about Wainwright getting moved out of the rotation. So that's been the biggest issue for them, is starting pitching. They've also had injury issues pile up. They've had older guys. A guy like Johnny Peralta gets pushed out of the organization because he just didn't produce early on. Dexter Fowler, who's a late scratch from tonight's lineup, has dealt with some leg issues. So, those things start to pile up.
So for all the fans that are saying the Pirates don't spend enough, even teams who spend a lot, sometimes things just don't work out.
True. Now, I will say this. There are teams like the Red Sox who just picked up Johnny Peralta today, who can spend their way out of mistakes. They've got a $95 million mistake named Pablo Sandoval over at third base. They're able to spend their way out of that by picking up a veteran third baseman like Johnny Peralta. So that's the other side of the coin. Sometimes you can make mistakes, and you can afford to make those mistakes.
All right, Shaw drove in 3, including a homer, 4-2. Pirates lose to Milwaukee. Your thoughts about the division leaders and how they fared at Miller Park?
Well, it always comes back to starting pitching. That's one thing that I think is probably a truism about baseball, and Jack has reinforced that when I've had a chance to talk to him during pre- and post-game shows. And I mean, look at the game Chase Anderson pitched yesterday. Solid game. He keeps things quiet on the base paths, eliminates base runners when they're out there, and they've been surprised by Zach Davies. His starts the last 8-9 times out. So if you can get decent work from the rotation, if you can even just get 5-6 innings some nights, that's enough. And your bullpen doesn't get stressed or overtaxed, and that's been helpful for them. Plus, they've got Eric Thames near the top of the order, mashing home runs, and now driving in runs even when he doesn't hit homers.
All right, now when you think about the Pirates' opportunity tonight, just to stay close, heading to the All-Star break, a lot of baseball left there, 6 out, but you think of Josh Harrison, 294, you got Andrew McCutchen, 268 and 14 homers. I said to you, Chris Mack, Jack Zarinzik coming up shortly with the pregame show, 93.7 The Fan. Everybody's talking about maybe trading McCutchen. Just a thought, because his stock has risen, and maybe it might be easier to replace him in the lineup with youth Josh Harrison. What about his availability? And I know everybody is possibly trade bait, but it's just kind of intriguing to me because I don't know if you have somebody ready to really replace an Andrew McCutchen who really seems to be getting it going now.
And some of it is about cost effectiveness as well. When Andrew McCutchen was hitting 200 in the 6-hole, all of a sudden that extra year on the contract next year at, $14 million next year, I want to say ballpark between 14 and 18. That's not very cost effective for a 200 hitting center fielder. Josh Harrison's pretty cost effective right now where he is in his contract. I don't see them looking to shop him. Maybe there's a contender that comes knocking on the door to ask about him, but I would not suspect that they would listen for very long unless it was the kind of deal that got them multiple pieces in return. Again, like you said though, everybody's probably talked about at the trade deadline at some point, and if this team is out of it, I mean solidly out of it, come trade deadline time, then yeah, they're probably going to get more calls than they would if they were 4 or 5 games out.
You can call Chris Muller right now, 93.7 The Fans. We're going to talk baseball. Eric Hagman, of course, with your sports every 20 minutes. Quickly, here he is, Chris Mack, getting ready to go on the air. Just observations, your thoughts, because you're on this a whole lot more than I am as Pirates beat.
I think we've seen over the last few series that this is a team that is capable of ripping off 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. They've got to actually do that, though. When you've got Nova, Tyone, and Cole all pitching well at the top of the rotation, you've got a chance to string some wins together. Pardon me. Trevor Williams is a part of that now, I think solidly in a number 4 spot. But when Nova doesn't have his best outing yesterday, or at least his best start to an outing, that's going to hamstring you. When you're not quite 100% sure about the 5 spot in the rotation, you're going to have trouble stringing together wins, and you need a couple of long winning streaks, a couple of those win 10 out of 13 kind of stretches to get yourself back to the top of this division race, even though it is a disappointing division. That's the kind of thing. Maybe Starling Marte back in a few weeks helps infuse something into the middle of this lineup as well. We'll see. I think as long as they're no farther back than, say, 7 or 8 games at the All-Star break, they're still in it. And as long as they're still in it, I think Neil Huntington has to do his part and see if he can't keep this team in it by perhaps adding something in addition to just Marte coming back from suspension.
Ty on tonight at St. Louis, 93.7 The Fan. Jack Zarinzik back from vacation with his tag team partner Chris Mack on 93.7 The Fan.